Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Trina. Today's video, it has been a long time coming. This is such a late video. I am going to be flipping through and wrapping up all of the books that I've read for the month of April and May 2025. It has been quite a bit because things have been pretty busy, and yeah, it has been so long. Even the setup for the desk mat that we have here in the background, I when I took this out of my storage in preparation for like the summer, I actually took this out because it's already summer as you are watching this video, and it just has been so long. If you're a long time viewer of mine, you might have noticed like this is one of the first, or like rather the first desk mat that I've ever crocheted for myself for this channel for the purpose of having a background for the video. And when I took this out and laid it on the table and look at the camera, uh, I feel so great. It's such a nostalgic piece for me. But anyway, that's not what the video is about. So yeah, let's just begin with the flip through. So I do apologize if I forget anything that happened in like early April because I have been reading quite a bit, and sometimes I can't remember a bunch of the not so memorable ones. But anyway, here we have our April cover. I made it into like a very potions, poison sort of aesthetic because I made these glittery watercolor swatches. It's supposed to be for my grandmother's birthday because she loves the color purple, and I believe that gold always looks great with purple. So I chose a bunch of gold and purple related stuff from my stash, which is like these are the only purple ones that I actually have, which is kind of sad, but it's fine. I really do love this cover. I do also have my quarter two TBR here to the side, and well, not much. Not much has been read, except some of these I actually did enjoy reading. It just so happens that sometimes when I make my quarterly TBR, I don't find that I have the mood to read any of them like as the months progress. So we proceed. Here we have my April TBR as well as my actual reads page. You can skim through it, look at it for a bit. I will explain more once we finish everything. And we proceed to the first page here. The first book that I've finished for the month of April is Siki Horror and Other Stories by Yvette Tan. So this is a Filipino author, and it's a short story collection of like very much like women related horror stories. And the first time I saw the title, it made me think of Siki Horror, which is an island, but it's a part of the Philippines that there is always like a scary, spooky story of like witchcraft and like horror stories originate from there. And I really did enjoy a couple of these stories. Like as you can see here, I did rate a bunch of stories like 4 stars. So I did like write the title of each of the story and gave a little my thoughts on it, and then a little bit of a rating, averaged it all out, and I gave it a 4 star, like the whole book a 4 star because I really enjoyed it. Um, I guess the title of the book, the story that is in the title of the book, Sikie Horror, is one of like uh very, what do you call this? Like it's a build your own wife sort of situation wherein the the main character, or like the characters of the book, are foreigners who bought a Filipino wife, Filipina online to be their wife. And the wife is delivered to their homes in like packages of like part by part, like body parts. So it's like a doll situation until once it's like whole, it becomes a sort of person and takes care of the supposed to be husband that bought the wife. And it's like scary, crazy, and it's very horrific. It's very much gory, actually. Um, but it was enjoyable for me as a horror reader. What else is like fun here? Like the club is like very short. It's very short, and it's more of like men go to these clubs in order to feel something, and all of the acts that has been done in these clubs are very much horrific and very much trigger warning, and I really did enjoy it. It's like very short, one of the shortest ones in all of the short story collection, in all of the short stories that have been collected in this book. And I guess those two are like my favorites of all of them. And then let's just go through this in order of like the pages. But Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross is not actually the next book that I have finished reading. This is actually, I guess, the last book or second to the last book that I've read for the month of April. And it just so happens that I place it in here because I guess I skipped this page. I actually forgot why I placed it in here, but I think I skipped this page, or this page was intended for something else, and I covered it up, and it became the page for Ruthless Vows, which is the second book in the Letters of Enchantment series by Rebecca Ross. The first one being Divine Rivals. I really love that one. I love Divine Rivals, even though I am not much of a romance reader. Like, I notice when I'm reading that if it's like historical fiction with the romance, I am fine with. Because if not, like it's just romantasy or subgenre romance for like contemporary or YA. I don't really like it that much. But once it has like war time or historical fiction, like war period, warring states, whatever, I really enjoy it. I don't know why. It may be to me like very Violet Evergarden. Like if you've watched that anime, to me it's like that. And since it's like typewriters and letters, it really gave me the vibe of Violet Evergarden. However, the second book, a lot of people, I believe, did say that the second book is not as good as the first one, and I kind of agree to that. Like I found the book very much dragging. So the whole story of like Divine Rivals, or like not the whole story, but rather like a brief synopsis of what the story is about, is we have, what is her name again? Oh my god, I forgot. Iris Winnow and Kit, Roman Kit. They are rivals, journalists. They are journalists, work at the same publishing for a newspaper, and they are both vying for the same position as a columnist. And when one of them actually got the position, the other one like transferred out and went to cover the war in the front lines. And there is this part wherein I don't really want to give it out or like give it away, but basically this is why it's hard to talk about like the second book or like in the middle of a series, basically like the continuation of the series. But basically, one of them went to the front lines to cover the war and like cover what really is happening in the war, and also trying to like warn the town or city that might end up being overwhelmed by the war next, something like that. And it's romantic rivalry, I guess. And I really do enjoy Iris and Kit's dynamics. They are pretty sweet when it comes to like their romance, and I really love the letter aspects to it, like the magical typewriters which they use to communicate. It's pretty fascinating. It just so happens that the second book is kind of a bit draggy, and not much of like the yearning and the chasing each other sort of situation. So I give it a 3 stars, and that means I'm done with that duology. Next one here is Prankster, which is the 11th book in the Fazbear Fright series by Scott Cotton and other authors. So if you don't know the Fazbear Frights, it's basically the short story collection of the Five Nights at Freddy series. And this is the 11th book. I'm trying to do my best to complete Fazbear Fright so that I could move on to Tales of the Pizzaplex. Do not ask me if these stories are canon or canonically confirmed in the games or whatever with the timeline and such. I'm not the person for that, but I just enjoy like short horrors. Basically, it's maybe this month is like me trying to read short story collections in horror. And for this one, I have seen better. I've seen better collections of stories in the series, and this one is not my favorite. So I gave it a 2 star. If I'm being honest, I actually don't really recall what happened in here. Um, I mainly listened to this on audiobook, so it maybe went over my head. Uh, Later, pulling pranks on your coworkers is childish. Oh, so prankster is what happened here. So I guess prankster, if I remember correctly, there is a prankster coworker in one of the companies. It's always like the same themes when it comes to Freddy Fazbear, Five Nights at Freddy's, Scott Cawthon stories, wherein there's always one person that is like, it's either one of them is bad character or all of them are like they all suck. Basically, they suck in a way behavior wise, not they suck as like writing wise, but they are just such awful people to other people that you just tend to hate them. So either unreliable characters, awful, awful adults or like prankster kids who don't know when to stop, and the innocent kids get caught up in all of the shenanigans. But anyway, not my favorite, so 2 stars. And then another not much of a favorite, A Lonely Broadcast, book one by Cal Byron. And this one is quite in themed with me reading like pretty much creepy pasta situation. This was from a game that is also like a horror game. This one is a creepy pasta, so it is from the internet, um, made into book form. In this book, it's basically a watchtower, radio tower situation wherein they hire radio anchors, no, not anchors, what do you call it? Like radio DJs to play music and then to sound the alarm whenever there is something weird going on in this forest. And I'm actually kind of proud of how I did this. I do have like sticky notes that are tree shaped from when I was still in college. And I basically just did this so that it's like a design for like because they are in the middle of a forest and there is a creepy amalgamation of something out in the forest, killing people who get lost in this forest, and it's like the job of the broadcasters or DJs to play music in order to appease the beast, but sometimes they fail, sometimes they do stupid stuff, and the ending was kind of disappointing for me. So I did give it a 2.5 stars. There is a book two for this. I'm not sure if I'm going to read it. I don't think I'm going to read it actually, even though it's like in my TBR. I don't think I have deleted or took it out of my TBR in Goodreads just yet, but I know that there's a book two for this. The next one is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. This one is this one is great actually. So Silent Patient is a story of a psychiatrist who went to this like sort of insane asylum, I guess, and wanted to study or help this woman who was accused of killing her husband. And ever since that day, she has not said a word. Like they want to help her regain her speech and talk about the murder of who or what happened or why she killed her husband, basically. And she has not talked about it ever since the husband died or when the police found her. And so this psychiatrist is trying to be like that one special psychologist that will crack the code or crack this patient and get her talking, basically. So yeah, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it actually. It's kind of like predictable, but I still enjoy it for what it is. Kind of a classic, actually, even. So it's one of those books that I've been wanting to read. Finally, I have, and it's great. And then the next one here is Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. So this is my first Stephen Graham Jones, actually, and sadly, I gave it a 2 star. This is a little bit like a shorter book. If I recall correctly, um, they were trying to pull a prank. I guess that it's like an on theme basically for like my horror reads for this month. Like these friends are trying to pull a prank on one of their friends who works at a movie house, and they brought in a mannequin to the movie house and even bought a ticket for it. And they were like, what do you call this? They were trying to prank the cops or like the security of the movie house until such time wherein um, everything seems normal. Nobody noticed that there is a mannequin there. And suddenly, I forgot if the mannequin moved or something like that. And everyone was giving attention to this mannequin named Manny until the main character suddenly felt like, I'm not sure if it's called imposter syndrome or like he basically went over his head and thought that he wants to be like Manny who was given attention, and I don't know, he went cuckoo basically. So I don't know if he was like hallucinating or really did the mannequin became sentient and moved around. Yeah, basically. The next one we have here is a recent release, a new release actually, and I'm pretty happy when it comes to like books. I'm able to read books that are new releases as early as this. I am actually kind of proud of myself that I was able to do it. So we have here Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is a prequel story to the Hunger Games trilogy. This is the 50th Hunger Games, which is Haymitch's Hunger Games story. And this is heartbreaking. Like, I don't want to say any more of this because if you have read the Hunger Games trilogy, of course, there's a lot of like references to this one. So they reference each other. or like rather, the Hunger Games reference this one actually, and also this one references a lot of what happened to like the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. There's like characters that are connected, and this one is heartbreaking. We basically know what happened because we have either watched or read the trilogy, but still knowing that is going to happen and like reading through and getting attached to the characters that are in here, it's heartbreaking. But I did give it a 4 star. It was quite enjoyable. The next one we have here is Memory Police. Why did I not put the author name here? Hold on a sec. So we have it's supposed to be The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. And this one was recommended to me, as well as I've been interested in this when I saw this at a local bookstore. It piqued my interest of like, I will try to be a little bit more mindful because I actually finished this video and then I was editing, and turns out my mic was off for the rest of the 40 minutes that I've filmed for this video. So here we are. We are back. If you notice that it's a little bit askew, that's because it's half a day and I realized that the rest of my clips don't have audio. So here we are again. So I believe I last left off with searching for the author of The Memory Police, which is Yoko Ogawa. This one, I really enjoyed it, but it's not that much wherein I could say that it's my favorite book. I was intrigued by this book because it was recommended to me, and also the cover I've seen at a local bookshop, and it was pretty and very much interesting. It gave me vibes of If Cats Disappear from This World, but that one is a little bit sadder. This one, we are following a main character living in a very much a dystopian sort of Japan, wherein you wake up one day and out of the blue, items, common items or something in your life suddenly disappears, and the memory police goes around town making sure that the item that was magically poofed away from history leaves no trace, basically. However, there are people in the main character's life that does not are not affected by the memory wipe of these items. So each item that has disappeared over the course of history, they can still remember, and therefore being hunted by the memory police. So it's a matter of our main character trying to hide this person from the memory police, while also trying to keep her self identity, her freedom, I guess, even though everything is hopeless, because either way, even if she wishes to remember these items, these memories, she couldn't, because that's just how life is in this book. And it's pretty sad, if I'm being honest. It's like body autonomy, freedom, self identity. Um, and it's pretty interesting. It's a good read if you like something like a very slow pace, very something that you want to wrap your mind around sort of book. I do highly recommend Memory Police. The next book that we have here is actually one of the books that I have finished last, but somehow it is entered early in the pages. A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, the last book in the ACOTAR series. And I thought that this would be my favorite. I actually did not put the rating for this in the page, but I did give this a 3.5 stars. I really was excited to know the part of Cassian and Nesta after the whole, what's her name? Farah and Rysand. Oh my god, I keep forgetting their names. But I was interested because Cassian is one of my favorite men in this book, in the series. And also Nesta is a very much an interesting character. Like, I do love the character development and the family that she found in this world, even though at first she's like very much traumatized. She coped with her grief very differently, but somehow with the help of her family and her new friends, she was able to be the strong Fae lady that she is. And it's quite interesting. It just so happens that of course, it's ACOTAR. It's pretty spicy. And yeah, it's not my favorite, I guess, but I'm still pretty much interested in the romance of like the dynamic of Nesta and Cassian. It just so happens that there are parts that annoyed me, especially when both of them feel like they are not worthy for each other, and they are lusting for each other, and yet they are pushing each other away. And it's kind of annoying when it's that yo-yoing or seesawing back and forth. And yeah, it knocks out a few stars for me. So I believe I did give this a 3.5 stars. Next is another romance. We have here Tailspin. It is the fifth book in the Mountain Cove series by Elizabeth Goddard. This one I found randomly at a thrift store. It was super cheap. It was a 2-for-1 book that I purchased, and it was super cheap. So I was like, it's a steal. I did not know that it was actually a romance, and I did not like it. It is a story following our main character, who is a diving instructor. She was off of work diving in this remote area where her mother's plane, the plane that her mom charted, sank, and basically where her mom died. So she was diving for like items of her mom and like trying to find out why the plane crashed. And then her main love interest, or like her only love interest, I guess, in this book is a pilot of these chartered planes. And the reason why he is there is basically he is the one assigned in that area for chartered planes, and he happens to be there when some evil people were trying to capture, and off the main female character. And so he rescued her, and then later on, they realized that they have more connections than they thought. Um, I don't want to give it away, but basically, they have like history or something in their history connected them to each other. And yeah, basically, it's a life of like danger, because basically, the mother of the female character was actually like they have evidences against these bad people. So I guess that's the thing that they were looking for in that plane crash. So yeah, 2.5 stars. Did not really enjoy myself with that. Could have DNF'd it, but I pushed through. The next book that we have here is Tunnel of Bones. It is the second book in the Cassidy Blake series by V.E. Schwab. It is her supernatural YA book. This we follow Cassidy and her family, who goes around the world in search for haunted sites, in order to have a documentary for those places. In the second book, they went to Paris, and the mom is like the paranormal expert, and the dad is like the science guy, and Cassidy is there along for the ride. And Cassidy has this power that she could go between the living world and the veil, and she also has a best friend that is a ghost. So yeah, it just follows that story of Cassidy trying her best to help the ghosts pass on into the veil that have been stuck in the living world, something like that. So the second one, I did give it a 3 star. It was mildly entertaining, but still, I there is still that one aspect of the story that is being held on, I guess, until the third book. So I am willing to read the last book, even though there's like kind of like unnecessarily placed romance in here, like almost all YA books have, which irks me, but that's fine. It is what it is. It's a pattern at this point. But I am still willing to finish this because of that one major aspect of the plot that is being held, I guess, until the very end of the series, which is book 3, which I'm going to read maybe next month. The next book that we have here is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Nang or Ing. This one was a very quick read for me, actually, even though it's like a very average page thick book, I guess. But I really enjoyed this one. I think I tandem read this. Like I listened to the audiobook while I was reading it, and therefore it enhanced my enjoyment for this book. I did give it a 4 star. This is about Mia and Pearl, a mother-daughter duo that moved into this community wherein everything seems to be picture perfect. Mrs. Richardson is the owner of the house that they've rented, and she's also like the head of the community, and she wants everything to be perfect. And somehow, the arrival of Mia and Pearl like ruins her picturesque endeavors, or like picturesque view of the community. And there is a lot of like trauma and jealousy and family drama happening with the two families of the Richardsons and Mia's family. And it's a very much, actually it's a pretty sad, what do you call this, a pretty sad book, because of like it's also something to do with parenting, of giving attention to your kids, the right attention, I guess, to your kids, as well as like not being a control freak, I guess, is what it's showing here. But yeah, I really did enjoy it. And my camera is already telling me that it's running out of battery, so I'm going to move on. But I do highly recommend Little Fires Everywhere. The next one that we have here is My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. I gave this a 3.5 star. This one was okay, I guess. We are following this couple wherein their marriage is sort of getting boring, and the only way that they spice up their marriage is through murder. They actually plan a murder together every time they feel like their marriage and their love for each other is plateauing. The beginning of the book was actually pretty boring. The setup of it is quite boring until if you push through, I guess around 80 or like 50% into this is stressing myself out. Yeah, 80%. 80% of the book is when it gets exciting. So if it's not worth it for you to push through um, 80% of the book just so to get the last 20% exciting, then don't read it. I'm a masochist at this point for this book. But I did enjoy like all the plot twists, all of the trauma, and the, what do you call this? This is one part of the book wherein the family of the couple gets affected by all of the news that's happening of the serial killing that they have been doing. They have not been pointed as the killers, but it's traumatizing their kids, and also, I guess, their whole marriage is being run to the ground. So if you're not into like trudging your way in order to get to the good part, then I say you should not read this book. But if you're a masochist like me, go for it. It's a decent mystery thriller. The next one is my very first 6-star book of 2025, Strange Pictures by Uketsu. This one is a story, a couple of stories told um, in relation to several drawings, several weird, incoherent, and incohesive drawings. However, they all together tell one big story, like one big murder mystery, and it's very interesting. It's very easy to read as well. It's very fast, and if you want like that dopamine hit of like finishing a book that is also pretty good and is a mystery thriller horror, do try Strange Pictures by Katsu. It's unnerving, but it's also very satisfying in the end once you put all of the pieces together of all of these drawings. Like it's all connected in the end, and it's super fun. I really enjoy the experience of it. Then we are here with the last book that we have read for the month of April, The Shunned House by H.P. Lovecraft. This one, I guess, I just needed one more book in order to complete the 15 books that I wanted for the month of April. And I just wanted to try a little bit of the Lovecraftian horror because I haven't tried or like read or listened to any of H.P. Lovecraft's books. And this one is really like, it really got under my skin. I understand now why it is beloved by monster horror enthusiasts. And I would love to read more from H.P. Lovecraft in the near future. It's one of like my classic horror bucket list. So yeah, those are the 15 books that we have read for the month of April. And this is a quick recap. So my stats, I've read 15 books, which amounted to 2,042 pages, as well as 70 hours and 18 minutes of audiobook. And I only have one 6-star book, which is Strange Pictures by Oketsu. And in my TBR here to the side, I did only manage to not read 2 books out of the 10 that I have set up. And the 2 are actually, I believe this is YA. This one is like a thriller. I'm not sure. I'm still not sure what this is about, even until now. It just so happens that this one has been in a couple of my TBRs and I still haven't picked it up. So I might as well, who knows, I might as well just DNF it, if I'm being honest. Now let us proceed to the month of May, wherein I decorated everything Bungo Stray Dogs and Japan related. However, I don't think I even read a single Japanese literature in the month of May. So the month of May, I do have a couple of reading vlogs that I have. I could link it down in the description for you guys if you're interested. It is my May Roll for Reads miniseries, wherein I roll a D20, and whatever number the D20 lands, I read that particular book. That runs from Friday to the next Thursday. So that's like my weekly cycle. I film on a Friday to start the vlog, and then end it on a Thursday, and then upload on a Sunday. So that's like my cycle. So I do have 4, I believe, reading vlogs for that, and also like a lifestyle situation. I'll spend a week with me sort of vlog. And these are all of the books that I have prepared for my TBR. Of course, not all of them have been read, but still, it was a good mix of books. For the month of May, since I'm already here, I did finish reading 13 books, 3,071 pages, and 38 hours and 46 minutes of audiobook. And I will go flip through all of the 13 books for the month of May. Sorry, I'm blanking. The first book that I have finished was The Naturals, which is the first book in the series of the same title by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I sadly gave this 2.5 stars. This is a book about our main character who is very much keen on observing, and it's almost like a superpower of hers. And she was recruited to the special force wherein a bunch of young adults, what do you call this, profile criminals. And it gives me the same vibes as A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, but also like a lot of family trauma, a lot of history, dark history being dug up, as well as a little bit of a romance, actually, even. And I already finished reading The Inheritance Games by the same author, and I think I only did not read Brothers Hawthorne of that because I had enough. I did not necessarily like Inheritance Games as well. So I don't know why I even tried with The Naturals, but I know that a lot of people enjoy the series, so I wanted to try it for myself. Maybe it's better than Inheritance Games, but it's the same feel, and I don't really enjoy it. So rather than continuing with the series, I'll just stop right here. Um, I read it for what it's worth. I give it a shot, and yeah, it's just not for me. And I guess it's either I'm not um, I don't really enjoy her writing style or her characters, or I'm just not into YA anymore with my age. The second book that I finished is Some Kind of Happiness by Claire Legrand. This is a coming of age story, also sort of mental health, wherein our main character, Finley, has like her blue days. So she gets super, super sad some days without any reason. She gets triggered, and she was sent to her grandparents on the father side, wherein she met all of her aunts and cousins, and she let her cousins in on her world. I forgot what's called, like her own, like what do you call this? Her own story, her own world, the place that she is most comfortable with, comfortable in, and she also met the neighbors of her extended family, and there is actually friction there that happened, and there is again a lot of family dark secrets, something that they haven't been talking about for the longest time, secrets that they have hidden in order to protect one of their own. However, down the line, that secret like became toxic to all of the people involved, and it's like self-discovery as well as speaking your mind, getting heard, being heard by your family that you somehow is toxic. But I really love the ending. It's like good for them, like good for her and good for the family that they were able to communicate with each other. Like the only sad part of like a family that misunderstands each other is that they don't communicate 100%, and I'm pretty happy that they are able to listen to each other. 10% left on my battery. I really need to charge. Anyway, I'll guess I'll give it two more and then I'll charge and come back. The next book that I finished is Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. I believe this is the debut novel. This is a story of the daughter of King Minos of the Minotaur. This is her story, how she has been treated, her experiences on her island with Dionysus and the Maenads, and I really love this quote. I would not let a man who knew the value of nothing make me doubt the value of myself. Like, it's amazing. It's pretty fun. I really like Greek mythology told in the perspective of the women, because always these epics and these Greek mythology stories are always told in the perspective of the men. And somehow, once you look through the lens of the women, you see how they are being oppressed. They feel like they have no choice because the men are like the more powerful, the more omnipotent, and also like the gods are like playing around with the lives of the mortals, sort of that. And I really enjoyed like the perspective of Ariadne and how she views all of these, like how she views um, the women victims that are like being toyed with by the Greek gods and goddesses. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. 4 stars. Pretty pretty excited to read the next one, which is, I think, Atalanta is the one that I want to read next. Next book here is Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. I gave this a 3 star. Pretty quick read. However, it wasn't that spectacular. It's pretty cliche, it's pretty predictable. We are following our main character who took care of her mother, her dying mother, and once her mother passes, her estate was split into three for the three kids. And it's a matter of like family drama again, of like one of the kids is the one who really took care of the parents when they needed them the most. The other one like just moved out immediately and not um, care for them at all until their very last day. And one is like the problematic child. And there is like the secret that the mother took to her grave until the very last, what do you call it, very last words. And she was cut off because she was gone by then. And the main character starts to find like bits and pieces and clues to that dark secret. And it's pretty interesting. Lot of trust no one, even your siblings are the situation, but also trying to be there for one another in this time of need. And they did their best. The sisters did their best. It's fine. It's not that remarkable. So I'm going to come back because my battery is like super red and angry with me right now. So I'm just going to come back. And we are back. So the next book, let's just jump right into it. We have The Traders by Carissa Ann Lynch. Sadly, I gave this a 2.75 stars. The premise of it, I really enjoyed. I really love books wherein there are characters that are either invited to a mansion or like trapped in a cottage or like an establishment somewhere for 24 hours. They cannot go out because of like some predetermined conditions or a storm outside, snowstorm, whatever, and they cannot call the police or contact anyone from the outside. And there's of course a murderer among them. And I really love the concept of like murder mystery. This, however, the main characters are invited to this mansion for its reopening because previously there is a horrific murder that happened in this mansion. And so for its grand reopening, a couple of people that are like somehow related or like involved, not necessarily involved, but rather interested parties or interested parties for this like murder that happened were invited here. So there's like this crime podcast YouTuber that was like she made false information on a case, and that's basically a crime. And then there are like these retired policemen from the case, a horror writer, and then like an architect, and I forgot what the other one is. Oh, I think it was like a scam artist. And so all of them were gathered in order to like if they stay for 24 hours in this mansion, they will divide amongst themselves a pot money, like $1 million or something. And they were all pinched for money. So they attended and they went there. And oh yeah, one of the girls is like the final girl from the previous murder case. And yeah, they stayed there, and basically everything went into chaos. They do not trust each other. Something happened, a murder happened basically with one of them trying to find out who among them is the traitor. And it was like told to them that one of them is the traitor. And so they started a witch hunt amongst themselves on who is really the traitor. And they have clues and like a game. And the premise is great. Execution, not so much. I did not like the reveal at the end of who the traitor was, nor do I like how the characters were written, because it's like the author made it a point wherein everyone sucks, basically. Like everyone, you won't feel sympathy for any of them. So basically, right off the bat, you already hate these cast of characters. Like there's 6 or 7 of them. You hate all of them. So yeah, 2.75 stars for the traders. Could have been great, but sadly it wasn't. Next one we have here is The Setting Sun by Dasai Osamu. So I did manage to read one Japanese historical literature classic in this month. This is about a noble woman and her mother and brother who were like nobility during the feudal era, and at the end of the feudal era, transition towards the industrial period. They had to adjust, and this is like their life now in like a countryside or farmland somewhere out in the outskirts of town, and the main character is trying to survive. And this is how she copes, I guess, with her mother being very sick and her brother being very problematic, and she herself is somehow kind of problematic as well, especially with the decisions that she has made. I kind of question it, but then again, it is what it is. It's in a way, I was like questioning why she wanted to do the stuff that she did, but then again, it's like she has already lost so much, so what more does she have to lose, basically? But I did enjoy it. It was quite a quick read, despite it being a classic. The next one is A Walking Practice by Dol Min. It's still quite funny for me. I already reviewed this, as I've said earlier, where the mic was off, but this was still pretty weird and funny for me. Even though I gave it only a 2.5 stars, this was actually a weird experience. So our main character is an alien, and they are trying to fit in and become human, and therefore the thing that he or they try to do is like practice walking, and the only thing that can satiate their hunger is actually humans, human meat. And what they do is they actually find their victims through dating apps. One of the dates that they happened to book was kind of funny because the guy was at the 16th floor and the elevator was broken down. So when they expend their energy, all of the disguise that they have as a human start to crumble, and they become their gloopy mass of flesh self. And going up the floors, 16 floors, in their head, they're like, no lover of mine will ever live on the 16th floor ever again. So they were like thinking of their next victim and thinking that they should research where they live as well, if they live in a housing complex that has a working elevator next time, because they are pretty exhausted before their actual hunt. And the other thing that's kind of sad, but also kind of moving for this, is that since they have been in Earth for a long time now, they want to like feel not only satiated with their hunger, but also they feel love. So they were like looking for a human worthy of becoming their longtime lover, and not just like a one-time thing that they could feed off of. And it's kind of funny, but also pretty sad. And there's also that part wherein the alien starts talking to the reader and sort of like telling you like, can you blame me if I do the things that I do, sort of situation, which is kind of like, okay, this is already weird. They are explaining how they look with all of the teeth and the amalgamation of stuff and limbs and whatever. And it's kind of interesting, but also like this is a mess, basically. So I did enjoy it a little bit, but not as much as to give it like a high rating, basically. The next book that we have read here is actually something that I don't really want to talk about again. I've already explained this like a couple of times. It is The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. I gave this a 2 star. It's not my favorite. It is like also kind of like a domestic thriller, unhinged women sort of situation. We are following our main character, Ji Woon, whose parents got a divorce after the father cheated on the mother, and their mom found a new boyfriend who happens to be a, I guess, American or somebody Western. And somehow this boyfriend actually, throughout the book, sort of like fetishizes Asian women. And already Jiwon and her little sister very uncomfortable with the boyfriend, and the mother is not really what do you call this? The mom is not seeing it that way, and she's kind of like blinded by love, basically, and it's very much unnerving. And Jiwon starts to go on the spiral of like being obsessed with gouging out the eye of the boyfriend, and like she went into huge madness. Like she doesn't trust men anymore because the father got separated, cheated on their mother, and it's like her response to all of the trauma that's coming going around, I guess, in her environment. So yeah, it's not really my favorite, and basically it's like one of the books wherein I said I should really stop um, reading horror that is like literary fiction as well, because it's not doing well with my mental health. The next book that we have here is Eat the Ones You Love by Sarah Maria Griffin. I gave this a 3.5 stars. In this book, it's a sapphic romance wherein our main character, she broke up with her boyfriend and then also doesn't have a job. So one time when she went to their local mall complex, she found a for help needed sign or help wanted sign for the flower shop, and she got the job and actually fell in love with the florist. The florist happens to be taking care of a very suspicious alien plant called Baby. It's sort of like an orchid creature, and that orchid creature is also obsessed with the florist, and it actually eats humans for nourishment and growth, and also wants to eat the florist, but he wants, or like it wants to eat the florist last, something like that. And it very much reminds me of Botanical Daughter, but also what do you call this? It has a weird ending. So I only gave it a 3.5 stars because like why did that ending happen? Why is it that way? But then again, I kind of understand why it became that way. It's very strange and very much self, what do you call this? Um, you don't know what else to do after you've done so much wrong. I did, however, enjoy it. So I do recommend it if you want like a very planned horror sort of book that also has sapphic romance. So it's not bad. It's not bad. I do recommend it. What I do not really necessarily recommend though is Boy Parts by Eliza Clark. This one, I gave it a 3 star. One, because I kind of enjoy the unhinged woman vibes of Irina in this book, but also I question whether or not this book, what it's talking about, is legal or not. And it's also very uncomfortable. It was meant to be uncomfortable. So our main character is a photographer. She's a fetish photographer actually, and she takes photos of men who have consented, doing things that men don't really do, like kind of weird, really. But also like you do you. There's a lot of like questionable things that are in here, but also there is a reason why our main character is like unhinged and delusional, and also like we don't know if she's hallucinating or whatever. But it's also a little bit crime and punishment, if I'm being honest, now that I think about it, because she has done something and like she starts to hallucinate and be very um, wrong in the head afterwards after doing that crime. But then again, it's the thing between, is this legal or is this genius? Because it not only talks about like a different culture that is not really open or like accepted openly, I mean, but also it exists. And it also talks about women having that capability, I guess, to be dominant and also abusive. So it's like I question a lot of things that this main character has done. More or less, it also calls out in that book wherein these sorts of art style and art is for the shock value, but for her, it's more of like the beauty of it. Like it's something you don't see often, basically. So it's questionable. And I also like, it's also kind of weird for me as I'm reading this, like Irina is so close to my name, as well as we are the same age, and what is happening in this book. So yeah, Boy Parts. It's weird. It's a weird sort of read. The next one here is The Appeal by Janice Hallett. I gave this a 5 star. I really love this book. I also thrifted a physical copy of this book while I was out with my best friend, and it is written in correspondence, emails, text messages, memos, playbills, or not necessarily playbill, but invitations. And we are in the perspective of the two female detectives that are solving a murder case. And the story unfolds through the correspondence of all of the people that are part of this amateur theater group, wherein the main cast, like the main owners, the grandparents, they have a granddaughter that was sick with a very rare cancer, and they started to do fundraisers, funding a very experimental drug that is very expensive. So they have fundraisers, and they also have display in order to raise the funds for that experimental drug, and they have like sponsors and such, and suddenly part of the money is gone. The medicine is questionable, the doctor is somewhat questionable as well. Where does the money go? Because the medicine has not been received, and then a murder happens, and I did not really expect the killer of that murder. So it was a good thing that I did not expect anything that's going on in here. So basically, almost everybody sucks here in this book, and there's one particular nurse, Isabel, who you can tell that everyone, almost everyone, is like annoyed with her. Um, and some people are just trying to be nice, to be civil to her, but you could tell how weird she is through her correspondence, and you can tell also other people on how fake they are. And it's quite interesting. It's an interesting character study to see how people respond to different people through their correspondence. Like, they are nice to this one person, but then to the other person they like change their tone, they change their way of speaking. It's very interesting. So yeah, I highly recommend Appeal if you're okay with that format of like just reading emails and text messages and letters. It's quite interesting because you kind of like is one of the what I call this detectives that's looking through all of these files and these evidences in order to see who the murderer is. On the next page here, do ignore it. I did start the Bone Orchard, but I did not finish it, so I'm going to cover this whole page up with like a scrapbook paper or something because I did not finish it this month. And then next book we have here is The Push by Audrian Ashley. I gave this, I think, a 3 star. I did not write down. The Push, 3.5 stars. So The Push is a literary fiction, but also like a thriller. It is about a woman who gave birth to a daughter, and somehow she does not like her daughter. It's like a sort of instinct or a sort of weird sensation wherein she does not want her daughter. And she has like a past wherein her mother and grandmother also kind of neglected their own daughters. So she does not necessarily want that generational trauma to continue. However, in a way, she does because she dislikes her daughter, or she does not know how to engage with her daughter until the daughter grew older. Um, yeah, it's like a weird thing of all of the stuff that Blight, our main character, has done, but it also gives you a perspective that not all trauma has to be like very linear. Like, there is always something that causes each and every reaction, basically. And the ending actually really is pretty good. The ending is actually pretty good. However, I just did not enjoy it for the first half because I feel very detached on like why she does not enjoy the company of her daughter, and when she gave birth to her second child, like things changed, like gave her a second chance or something like that. So yeah, it's fine. And then the last book that I actually read for the month of um, May is here overflowed to the other month of June is Gideon the Ninth, which is the first book in the Lockton series by Tamsin Muir. I gave this 5 star. It's actually pretty good. It's very funny. The characters are very sarcastic. I really enjoyed Gideon. Also, my other favorite character is Harrow. So our main characters, Harrow and Gideon, were sent to this planet. I guess it's actually sci-fi. It's sci-fi necromancy, which is quite an interesting mix. So they were sent to this planet or something in order to participate in these trials in order to become like the head lector, because Harrow is actually a necromancer, and all of the what do I call this, the heirs of each of the houses, like each of the 9 houses, were called to do this trial in order to find the next lector, protector of the locked tomb, something like that. And they went through these trials and uncover secrets of necromancy. And eventually, the ultimate prize is to become a lector and also an immortal and learn all of the ancient arts of necromancy. And we're following Harrow and Gideon in that adventure. It's quite interesting. Gideon is quite hilarious. Harrow is also kind of like, you thought of like a straight faced princess, but actually her mental like inner monologue or inner thoughts is quite hilarious, and I enjoyed their dynamics. I really enjoyed this book, and I'm actually continuing with Harrow the Ninth as of the moment, and I really love it. It's pretty much a sci-fi book that is not like, I guess it's like other sci-fi books, like my favorite, Red Rising. It's also like trials. Also, the many like trials with ancient knowledge and such. But somehow with necromancy, with their gods, with their system, it's kind of interesting. I still love it. I really enjoy it. So yeah, those are all of the books that I've read for the month of May. Little recap. I've already named this, but two 5 stars, The Appeal, and also Gideon Ninth. And yeah, I have read 13 books for the month of May. So I did prepare a bunch of books to be read here, but I only managed to finish 13 because some of them are kind of long and some of them gave me a book slump. So yeah, now we proceed to me trying my best to show you the update for my book blanket. I did kind of mess this up like in the previous clips that I tried this, but I'm going to do my best because right now I'm actually like forgetting what happened or like what order I did this. So anyway, I'm gonna do my best. So we have here, we start here. Sicky Horror and Other Stories. We have Prankster, A Lonely Broadcast, The Silent Patient, Night of the Mannequins. Turn this around. We have here Memory Police, Sunrise on the Reaping, Tailspin, Tunnel Bones, Little Fires Everywhere. Jesus Christ. Hold on a sec. We have here My Lovely Wife, Strange Pictures, A Court of Silver Flames, Ruthless Vows, and then The Shunned House. So that's all of the squares for the month of April. Allow me to turn to the page for May. We start here with, my gosh, I know this is kind of difficult now because it's bigger. So we have here The Naturals, Some Kind of Happiness, Ariadne. This is Home is Where the Bodies Are, The Traders, last row. We have here, oh dear, so big. This is The Setting Sun, Walking Practice, Eat the Ones You Love. This is Boy Parts. Then we move to this side. The Appeal. This is The Push, Gideon the Ninth, and The Eyes Are the Best Part, which is, these two are actually very pretty. This is very Rapunzel, Disney Princess Rapunzel colors, which is my favorite Disney princess movie. So yeah, a lot of pretty colors actually for the last 2 months that I did not update this blanket, and it's pretty big now. It actually fits the whole table. It fits my whole table now with how big it is. And the current, for until the month of May, the current number of books that I've read is 73, and that's exciting. I am doing a very fun reading challenge for the month of July, actually. But my month of June is actually quite interesting as well. So I hope that I won't do this again anytime soon, wherein I fuse together 2 months in one video because this is kind of exhausting. But June is kind of interesting, and then July is going to be hectic. It's going to be hectic as heck because of the two challenges that I actually am participating for the month of July. So I hope you look forward to that, and I hope that I'm able to pull this off now with the mic. So yeah, that is it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments if you have read any of these books that we have discussed today. If you like anything that I don't really enjoyed, good for you. I'm happy for you. And if you have seen any that you are interested in reading that I have recommended and rated highly, this is your sign to read it. So yeah, that is it. Thank you so much again, and I will see you in the next video. So until then, guys, take care and bye.